Hello ladies and gentlemen from slidenerd. This is Vivs here. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to create a flexible user interface using fragments in Android. Now if you're beginners, then one of the most complex problems is what we are going to discuss right now. So talking about flexible user interface, we have a situation like this where we have our portrait mode and the user sees a list in the first screen. The user selects one of the items in the list. He is taken to the next activity where something is shown, like for example the details of whatever he might have clicked in the first place. But the same thing in a landscape mode works in a different way. That list and the descriptions are both stuck together within the same activity. In other words, in the portrait mode, use different activities. First activity contains fragment A, second activity contains fragment B, and in the landscape mode, make sure that the same activity contains both fragment A and B. So how is this done? If you're beginners, you have probably seen this on developer.android.com in one of the examples, and I'm sure you haven't understood how this has worked, or even if you did understand, you did not understand it enough to go ahead and implement this. But here in this video and the next few videos, we're going to talk about how to make this. So there you go with our communication pattern. If you guys have seen my previous videos about the communicator and stuff, that's the same thing I'm going to talk about now. But thanks to one of our subscribers who has actually offered a better suggestion for making a better object-oriented design as far as the communicator is concerned, I'm going to modify the communicator design pattern and show you how that works. So we have a fragment A that extends fragment, we have a fragment B that extends fragment, and our main activity which extends activity. Now we want to make sure that we set up communication between fragment A and fragment B through the main activity. Now we have an interface called communicator which has a single method called respond, which takes some string parameter inside. Now we will discuss why this parameter is string and what you can put other than string over here when we actually make this in Android Studio. But for now, let's just stick to this. Now notice one thing, the communicator interface is inside fragment A. If you guys have seen my previous videos, it was actually outside as a separate file. But as per our subscriber, one of the subscribers who saw that video, he says that this communicator is a better design than the other one which I discussed previously. The reason is, one of the things is the principle of least privilege in object-oriented programming. If you guys have heard about it, it says that do not expose something more than it needs to be. In other words, if you make this communicator outside the fragment for the whole world to see, the idea is only fragment A and main activity actually need the use of the communicator to do whatever stuff they want, right? This fragment B doesn't care if communicator exists or doesn't exist. So we rather hide this communicator from fragment B, and that can be done with a better design by putting communicator inside fragment A. Now let's see how this will work out. So we again create a reference here by saying communicator com. Notice the set communicator method. It takes an argument of type communicator and it simply says com equals to C, which is the simplest Java assignment inside any method, right? You take the object and you simply say com equals to C. Inside the main activity, you now say implements fragment A dot communicator. Now this is a typical Java inner class syntax. Now I'll be talking about inner classes in a lot more detail in my playlist on Java. All types of inner classes, top level nested classes, static inner classes, non-static, local inner classes, anonymous inner classes, everything. I'll be talking about that at a great level of detail in my Java video. For now, let's just stick to stuff. We have our onCreate method. Now inside the onCreate, we are going to perform the association between the fragment A and our main activity. For that, I'm going to simply find the fragment by saying fragment A is manager.find fragment by ID, which we have discussed that the fragment manager is responsible for managing all the instances, right? Then notice this sentence which says f1 dot set communicator this. Now this is the step that ties our activity to our fragment A. Now how does this work? You guys probably noticed that there is a communicator here in the parameter list and I have passed a this over here. This actually refers to main activity, and if you notice on the left side we have an interface variable which is communicator C, and on the right side we have a subclass object which is main activity. Now this adheres to the Java property which says an interface reference variable communicator can refer to a subclass object this if that subclass object actually implements the communicator. Remember, if main activity does not implement the communicator, this step where we have said z communicator, this is going to actually give an error saying illegal cast exception or something. But this works only because we have implemented it, so it works like magic. Next, we have our onClick method. Whenever the user clicks on the button inside fragment A, the onClick method is going to be called. There, we can directly say com.respond button was clicked, right? And that respond actually goes here to our activity, which says public void respond string data. Each time the button gets clicked, this respond method is called. Here we find the second fragment f2. Then we simply change the data by saying f2.change data. Now what is this change data? Nothing great, just another method here inside fragment B that is responsible for changing something inside fragment B. Like you may be changing the text of a text view, or you may be changing the contents of a list view or something like that. So it's very simple. Associate the fragment A inside your onCreate method in the activity by using this method. It goes here. Whenever the button is clicked, com.respond is triggered. It calls a respond in the activity. From there, it actually calls a respond or some method inside fragment B. And this is how the basic communicator pattern works. Now if you guys have seen the last video, you obviously noticed that this is a bit different as far as the way communicator is implemented is concerned. But again, thanks to that subscriber for bringing this into notice, because this is truly a better object-oriented design, considering that communicator interface is not exposed beyond the context of fragment A and main activity. So how to do this? Again, very simple. Create two fragments, create their layouts, link them. For the landscape mode, let there be an activity 1 that has both fragment A and B. For the portrait mode, let there be an activity 1 that contains fragment A and an activity 2 that contains fragment B. So now in the next video, we are gonna see how this is done using Android Studio. In the meantime, if you guys like what you saw, please subscribe to my channel, comment, let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next vid. Have a nice day.